Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Wednesday. It is hump day. Hump day, hump day, hump day. I had a very, very late night last night, not on purpose, but that being said, I'm pretty much working on one brain cell. So please bear with me today, because, yesterday wasn't, off the rails enough. So, we do the best we can every day, right? So today, day number 8 on Self-Care Wednesday, check in with yourself emotionally. So again, I'm trying to make this a thing where I read it at the beginning and then read it at the end, because I'm sure reading it twice at the beginning is just kind of like, yeah, we heard you the first time. So if you miss anything, excuse me, if you miss anything at the beginning, you'll hear it at the end, all right? So find a seat, get a cup of coffee, and share your see what I mean? Oh, find a seat, get a cup of coffee, and share your day's events. What mood are you in? Sense that emotion. The greatest course of action is to learn to feel your sentiments rather than bury them genuinely. It's essential to stay in touch with your feelings if you want to keep practicing self-love. This includes negative thoughts. Do they exist? Do they prove useful? Are they decent? Before you say something unfavorable, consider whether it will benefit you. Does having this thought in any way improve me? Or is it merely impolite, dismissive, and harsh? Stopping internal agony is one of the most crucial steps to happiness because we frequently abuse our minds. Say supportive and encouraging things. Negative thoughts will always try to impede self-love. That was an adventure. I'm so sorry. So anyways, negative thoughts lead to overthinking. Overthinking leads to just a myriad of crazy things that you don't want to go through. And it can make things worse. Yesterday I talked about emotions, right? How a standard emotion can last about 90 seconds, but we continue it on with what we feed it. So again here, is your thought impolite, dismissive, and harsh? Or, is it favorable in some way? Is it unfavorable in some way? Most negative thoughts are probably not going to be favorable, and most negative thoughts are probably sent to bury you mentally, for lack of a better way to put that. A lot of times we will use negative thoughts to shield ourselves, to, protect ourselves from, just build that wall, right? Maybe something happened, in your life where you're just kind of like, I don't trust people, I can't trust people. And so you will come up with a million reasons why you can't trust people, even when it's people you can trust. Because, you're afraid to be hurt. You're afraid to open your heart. You're afraid to acknowledge any kind of, support or openness to anybody because, that leaves you vulnerable. But in a way, negative thoughts leave you vulnerable as well. Because, a lot of times you might, strike out at somebody who doesn't deserve it. You might, lash out, same thing, right? But what this is asking you here is, say you come home in a bad mood. Maybe you had a bad day at work. Maybe you had bad traffic. Maybe you just didn't wake up on the right side of the bed. Sorry, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. So when it says to find a seat, get a cup of coffee, and share your day's events, it's asking you to check in with yourself. When we check in with ourselves emotionally, we're checking in to make sure we're doing okay. I have a mental health check-in every day, 8:01, all right? And I actually use that as kind of the countdown alarm to my show. But even when I wasn't doing my show, I still had that alarm because it reminds me, and it's supposed to remind me. Sometimes it's an alarm, right? Sometimes it goes over my head, but it does remind me to really be mindful and check in at where I'm at. And, maybe I should set one in the afternoon, 5:01 or maybe 8:01 p.m., or something where, I'm checking in with how my day was. Did I have a good day? Did I have an unfavorable day? How many negative thoughts did I have? Did my negative thoughts overpower my, my positive thoughts? Negative thoughts can be very draining as well, because like I said, I mean, it can cause you not to sleep. It can cause because of the overthinking and the stress and the anxiety and the worry. And it's basically sludge, it's mental sludge. And I don't know how else to put that, because it really is. It's like mental sewage, all the negative thinking. And you have to ask yourself, is speaking negative thoughts helping me? Is it making me a better person? Probably not. It's probably making you an anxiety-riddled person, or very stressed, or very tired, because you are, again, overthinking. One of my favorite things I like to share with people in any of my shows is what you say. What you say is what you hear. It's what your brain processes, and it's going to end up being what you see. So if you're negative about yourself, right, maybe you yelled at someone on the freeway. I mean, just at your windshield, right? They probably never heard you. You just said, rah, and maybe you go home and think, well, I was having such a great day. I can't believe I lost my shit. Okay, so you did, and I'm sure you probably had a reason. I mean, like I shared before, a lot of times my reason is sometimes that it's like when, people come a little too close and they scare me. It's just like, wow, that's my reaction, and I'm working on that. But it's kind of hard, because it's like, you go into this, make sure nothing bad happens mode. And so, sometimes it does get a little dicey, and, we are going to have our moments. When that happens, remind yourself that you're human. You had a great day. Don't let one outburst on the freeway where absolutely nobody heard you but yourself. This is just an example, okay? Don't let that ruin the rest of your day. Or we talked yesterday about forgiving yourself. A lot of times forgiving yourself is one way that we forget to check in with ourselves emotionally. I had a friend yesterday that watched the show, and we talked a little bit, and it was a good chat. And we often forget that other people are going through things, and we'll say, well, I can't believe so and so is acting so blah 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 today, right? We get a little gossipy around the water cooler, and it's kind of like, people used to come to me and go like, what's her problem? Because, where I work, when, my last job, I was the front desk person. I was the greeter, the first line of defense of the office, and the office manager, basically. But I knew everybody. So people were like, what's her problem? And apparently everybody thought I knew what was going on in everyone's minds. And I always had to try to remind people, because sometimes I had to remind myself. Because people would come in, and when you're the first line of defense, sometimes if someone's having a bad day, you're going to get it first. You're going to get the first shot they fire. And, sorry, no pun in, no, I don't mean that to sound, terrible, because that's a thing now. Just an old saying. I apologize for that. But, you're going to be the first one that they probably attack. And that has happened to me before, where someone's had a bad morning, they come in, I say good morning, or, you don't say it in the right tone, and it's like, well, what's your problem? It's like, oh, excuse me? And there was a time before I had healed the trauma that, or began the healing journey, that, I would be like, well, what is your issue? Instead of just saying, hey, they're probably having a bad morning. So a lot of times we can feed into each other too. And that's what negativity does. That's what negative thoughts do. So, we also have to forgive ourselves. We have to remind ourselves that it's okay to, to just have those bad days sometimes, because they're going to happen. And we have to learn how to recover from that. So, the other one is from day 4, embrace the fact that you can't control everything. And sometimes that is another thing that leads to, negative thinking, and not checking in with not checking in with ourselves emotionally. So again, remember guys, if you're coming in on this late, I am working on about 1 or 2 brain cells at the moment, because I am so tired, but I did not want to skip this show today. I know I had to come on and do this. So, So again, the reason I'm going through some of these is because a lot of these things can lead to negative thinking. Understand that sometimes societal expectations offer unrealistic standards. So yesterday during the show, I said today we're going to be covering a lot of what we've already covered, in the last 7 days before today. So it's very important to remind ourselves that, understanding that sometimes societal expectations offer unrealistic standards, that can lead to negative thinking. Live in the moment, even if just for a moment every day. That can help negative thinking, all right? That can help switch the negative to the positive. A lot of times negative thinking comes from the fact, that we live too far in the past or we live too far in the future. And when the future's not happening fast enough, we get upset. Or if the past has brought us or anchored us somewhere, it can just weigh on us. It feels like you're drowning in your own emotions. And that can be difficult too, so sometimes just staying in the present moment is exactly what we need. And that's what, checking in with yourself emotionally is doing. It's living in the moment, even if just for a moment every day. That every moment could be when you're having that cup of coffee, that hot drink, maybe a glass of lemonade, whatever it is you want to drink, whatever it is, something to just, or if you don't even have to drink at all, right? You could just sit there and go, I'm going to check in with myself emotionally. You could pull out your journal, with your glass of water. It doesn't matter the important thing is that you check in with yourself daily, emotionally. You check in to make sure that you are doing okay. So, tightening your circle, letting go of toxic relationships, that can really improve the negativity, right? If someone is making you feel less than human a lot, you need to nip that shit in the bud, like fast, all right? And it can be hard. There are a lot of situations where that isn't just like, hey, okay, I can say something and just walk away. No, I know there are a lot of situations like that. But you can prep and get help, all right? There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of, clandestine people out there who, will help get you out of a situation, who will give you a safe place to stay, and hopefully away from whatever it is that is causing, the trouble that you're in. And I don't mean that kind of trouble. I mean, if you're in a very abusive or toxic relationship, there are a lot of, shelters and places like that where they will help you. And, because I know a lot of times people will feel like there's no way out. And for a lot of people, unfortunately, there turns out not to be. So, knowing having a plan and knowing what you can do for yourself is a big part of keeping yourself safe. All right. So I don't know how I got there, but I got there. Okay. So like I said, I tap in every day trying to get, to say what I need to say. So a lot of times if it's flying out of my face, it probably needs to be heard by somebody. But on a regular level, letting go of toxic relationships. If you have someone who is consistently lashing out at you, you either need to bottom line and ask them, hey, what can I do to help you? Why are you so angry? And if they say, well, I'm not angry, it's like, no, you are, because this is not normal for you and you keep taking it out on me and I don't appreciate it. I talked about in previous shows in the past about someone that I knew, and they were having a lot of issues in their personal life, and it would be taken out on me at work. And it was kind of like, and it even got to the point where, unintentional gaslighting was happening as well. It's like, well, it's not me. You're the one that started. It's like, no, I can give you 5 examples right now. And a lot of it is because I'll just stay quiet. Not always. Sometimes I'll fight back. But a lot of times it's one of those things where it just builds and builds and builds until finally it just builds to the point where it's like, instead of having handled it sooner and not just venting to older sibling about it, I would just turn around and it's like, you know what? Enough. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to just bottom line it. Like I said, I shared a lot of behaviors that I'm not proud of yesterday. And I was lucky because older sibling could see it, even though I couldn't. And that's why she didn't walk away from me. That's why she, stayed and, really kind of took me under her wing like a big sister. and, you know, did what she could to help me get better, you know. And so, you know, we all walk around with this, we all have sketchy behavior from time to time. Like I said, we're human. But the thing is, I wasn't checking in with myself emotionally at the time. So, and I wasn't able to forgive myself. I wasn't able to, you know, be my unique self. And that's another one, you know, day 6, Monday, we talked about be unique. A lot of times people will struggle with that because people will, you know, if you're a person who likes your hair a certain color, or maybe you like piercings, or maybe you like tattoos, or maybe you like to wear certain things, you know, it's your style, it's your personal, it's your personality coming out. And other people might, you know, pull you down because of that. They might make fun of you. They might try to hurt your feelings. They might try to do all these different things. And that can hurt us too if we don't check in with ourselves emotionally, because we might think, well, geez, am I doing the right thing? Am I, you know, should I not be either this? No, be your authentic self. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the term authentic self, but I like the term authentic self. Be your authentic self. Be your unique self. Be you. Just be you. You know, if you like, you know, if rack number A is selling out because everybody wants to look like, you know, rack number A, you know, then, but rack number B has all the stuff you love, don't worry about what people are doing over here. You know, if you like what's hanging on rack number B, go grab what's hanging on rack number B, because that is your personality. That is what brings you joy. And when we learn to check in with ourselves emotionally, when we learn to sit down and be honest about our emotions and our outbursts and our good times and our bad times, then we can try to do what we can to fix those bad times so that they don't happen as much. Triggers are a horrible thing. Triggers are awful. And if you've ever struggled with some kind of trauma in your life, you might have a trigger. Whether it's having lost somebody under, you know, terrible circumstances, or under circumstances that, you know, you figure shouldn't have applied to you or whatever, because maybe some weird random thing was happening. I don't know. You know, I had a lot of trauma and drama over my mom's passing because I feel like there were a lot of different factors that might have been able to improve her life and help her live a little bit longer. You know, I mean, she had a cancer that didn't exist in my family. You know, she died from pancreatic cancer, and everybody knows pancreatic cancer, your survival rate is probably 5 years if you catch it early enough. If you catch it anywhere past 3 years, or I'm sorry, stage 3, or even stage 2, you have a life expectancy at that point, and your chances of survival become very, very slim. They caught my mom's cancer at advanced stage 4. From May to September. May she was diagnosed, September she passed away. And I just, you know, that January before, we used to spend our birthdays together. That January before, you know, she was having a lot of tummy problems, and it was just like, are you okay? And it's like, you know, did you go to your doctor? Oh yeah, I've been to my doctor a million times. And the doctor really kind of misdiagnosed her. And I think because of the fact that there was no history, you know, that was a leading factor. But she had the symptoms, and instead she was diagnosed with IBS. You know, and it's like, no, I have friends who have IBS, and that was not IBS. But my mom was very trusting. My mom did not know how to advocate for herself medically. For everybody else around her, she was great at it. And I carried that trauma for a long time. And I was angry about it for a long time. Oh, so angry about it for a long time, because I felt like, you know, her doctor let her down. I still feel that way. But the thing is that, you know, then you start overthinking it, you start getting negative about it, you start having a little bit of ill will towards people, or towards the doctor about it, because her doctor was also my dad's doctor. That has since changed, by the way. I changed my dad's doctor. He said, fine, if you can get me a new doctor closer to home, then, you know, it's like, don't challenge me. You challenge me, I will find a way. And I did, and he was shocked because I did it within 10 minutes. It's like, oh, here you go. You know, no problem. But yeah, I want to say that's the Capricorn in me, but I think that's the Lucas in me, you know, or even my mom, the Giolina in me. So it's the Lucas and the Giolina blood all mixed into one little, oh, here goes our little go-getter. But anyways, that was very traumatic for me. You know, I have other friends who had parents pass away that, you know, during other unfortunate events. And, you know, it was just kind of like, there's a lot of anger that comes out of it. And then there's a lot of negativity that comes out of it. And we have to choose to heal or get better. Because, see, having that anger and having that negativity and, you know, well, if this would have happened and that would have happened. Yeah, but it didn't. And it's not going to bring my mom back. You know, yeah, there's so many things. My friend that passed away from when, you know, she took her own life. I was the last person I was the last person that we know of that she knew on a personal level that talked to her. And I felt helpless. It's like, I struggle with this stuff. And I couldn't help her. And so I was angry at myself. You know, it's like, well, you failed this person, you failed that person, you're failing yourself. And, you know, and it got to the point where I hit bottom. And, you know, when you hit bottom, you can decide two things: to get better or to keep digging. And I think the choice should never be to keep digging, because you're going to keep digging, you know, and then you're going to get to the earth's core and you're going to melt. So what's the point? Get better. Check in with yourself emotionally. How are you doing today? And don't just check in with yourself emotionally when you're having a bad day. Check in with yourself emotionally when you're having a good day too. You know, I mean, just say, hey, today was a good day. Today's tea or coffee or a glass of wine or Guinness. That's my favorite. You know, it tastes extra special today because, wow, you know, or that glass of water. I love water. You know, I am basically, you know, at this point, I think I could live in the ocean and breathe underwater. I drink so much water. But truth be told, when we hang on to the negativity, it's not going to get you anywhere. And if we don't check in with ourselves emotionally, you know, that's why I saved this one for Self-Care Wednesday. Like I said, I tried to tailor Self-Care Wednesday to things that I thought would be extra, you know, extra for self-love, because we can talk about being unique. We can talk about forgiving ourselves. We can talk about letting go of toxic people. We can talk about, or trying to help the toxic people. We can talk about, you know, self-love all day long. But checking in with yourself emotionally is more than just self-love. It is literally giving yourself the ear and the compassion and the empathy and the understanding that you need, because you know what you need. And if you want to have that sit down and, you know, check in with somebody, you know, maybe I have a roommate. Obviously I have a different roommate right now because I'm at home, at my childhood home, but I have a roommate. Older sibling is my roommate. And, you know, maybe her and I should sit down, you know, at night and just say, hey, you know, check in with each other emotionally. And so if you have someone in your house, make it a thing. You know, if you're having dinner, you know, how are you doing today? How are you doing right now? You know, I mean, everybody struggles to have some kind of conversation over the table sometimes, right? You know, it's like, it's checking in with each other is basically when you do sit down and have a meal and say, hey, how was your day? You know, and maybe they vent, maybe they talk about it, and, you know, because they have someone to listen. But if you are going to vent, or if you are going to share your day, make sure that you are present in that moment. Don't just spew it all out. You know, listen to yourself. Listen to what you're saying. What can you do to make it better for yourself? Or, you know, what can you do to keep that good vibe going? So again, checking in with yourself emotionally is, I would say, paramount. I'm not even sure if that's the right word. To really, really solidifying that self-love, right? Building, you know, we can build a house of cards of self-love and say, and do surface things like, you know, take a selfie and love yourself, and, you know, do affirmations or meditate and, you know, do this or eat better, exercise, eat, you know, all these things. And those are great. I think those are definitely a part of self-love. But if we do not heal the shadow bits, if we do not heal the shadow parts inside of us, those things aren't going to mean a thing. Because if you stop exercising for a couple of days, or maybe a week, or maybe you hit a spiral or something, you're going to make yourself feel bad about it. If you stop eating healthy because you stopped exercising, maybe you gained 2 pounds, you're going to make yourself feel bad about it. If you overindulge in something, whatever it is, you know, I'm not going to name anything specific because I'm an emotional eater, or I'm a recovering emotional eater. And boy, I'm telling you, these last couple of months have been the test of all tests, and I have not been doing well. But the difference is, a year ago, I would have probably eaten those feelings even more. Now I'm sitting here going, what can I do to stop this? To stop the unnecessary, snacking. And I have to remind myself, am I bored snacking, or am I emotional snacking? And it's like, because it is a habit, and it's an addiction of sorts. And because it's a food eating disorder, it's just, you really got to work on it to just, to figure out what is it that I can do to get me to not be in this position again, to put myself back in recovery mode. So don't feel bad. Forgive yourself. Check in with yourself emotionally every day. If you check in with yourself in the morning, afternoon, and evening, chances are you are probably not going to indulge in some of the things, the bad behaviors, right? Because you're going to be like, okay, I feel this now, so I'm not going to be feeding this, or I'm not going to be doing this, that, or the other to this. And journal it. You can look at this. This thing is like $1, right, at the dollar store. And it's so cute. I mean, I decorated it myself, but it's so much fun. I have 2. So that's for a whole different thing. That's for my business. But yeah, it's just, we have to check in with ourselves emotionally, because if we don't, the negative thoughts can grow, and they can grow and grow and grow, and they can become as tall as that tree I'm looking at out there. That tree was planted when my family first moved into this condo 30 gazillion years ago. I can't even think of how long ago, 37 years ago this summer. But it was a baby tree. But I see how tall that tree has grown. I know you can't see it, but I see how tall that tree has grown. And when I look at it, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out if I can turn this around or not, but I don't think I can. So, I was going to show you the tree, but I'll put it in the comments on Facebook. But that tree has grown. And I think about all the stuff I had emotionally gone through since that tree was planted, and how much I've grown. And I never really thought about that. I stare at that tree almost every day when I'm here, because especially when it blows, it's just so pretty. It blocks everything now, but it's so pretty. Oh, it's raining. But think of it as in terms of growth. When we check in with ourselves emotionally, when we heal those shadow parts of us, we're going to get better. We're going to heal that trauma. I still struggle with saying I healed my trauma. And I don't know why, but I think it's because it was attached to me for so long that it's something that's hard to let go of. But I have healed my trauma. And boy, I'm grateful for that. But that doesn't mean I still don't get triggered. That doesn't mean that sometimes, if I'm tired especially, and I don't have full control over my emotions, because I'm not hyper aware of them, sometimes they get away from me, and I can sometimes feel horrible. The thing about me is, when I don't get a lot of sleep, I'm either punchy or I get very down on myself. And I prefer punchy because that's fun, Shelly. That's the fun Shelly Marie, is when it's just goofy. But I think a lot of that too is just because, I'm so tired, I don't care what other people think. And I think that's what it should be. I don't think we should worry about what other people think, right? It's like I said the other day, one of my favorite quotes that an older sibling told me: what other people think of you is none of your business. What other people think of you is none of your business. So check in with yourself emotionally, all right? I'm going to read this one last time. And I'm sorry if I felt like I was all over the page, guys. I promise I'm going to get this down at some point. But you know what? At the same time, you're just kind of getting me. My brain goes in 9 directions every day. And I always tell people sometimes it, depending on I feel like I have a circus full of monkeys in my head, you know, and on some days these monkeys just, they all find a case of Red Bull and drink every last one of them and just go nuts inside of my head. So with the thoughts, and she's like, ooh, you know, so but that's my brain. That's my brain, and I used to be ashamed of it, but now it's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, the monkeys are hard at work again. So, but you know, we do what we do. We do what we can. So find a seat, get a cup of coffee, and share your day's events. What mood are you in? Sense that emotion. The greatest course of action is to learn to feel your sentiments rather than bury them genuinely. It's essential to stay in touch with your feelings if you want to keep practicing self-love. This includes negative thoughts. Do they exist? Do they prove useful? Are they decent? Before you say something unfavorable, consider whether it will benefit you. Does having this thought in any way improve me, or is it merely impolite, dismissive, and harsh? Stopping internal agony is one of the most crucial steps to happiness because we frequently abuse our minds. Say supportive and encouraging things. Negative thoughts will always try to impede self-love, and that is the truth. The most dangerous enemy of self-love is negative thoughts. And it is always going to try to bring you down. It's always going to poke at you, as I like to say. Because, you know, there's a part of your brain that thinks that, you know, the negative thoughts are going to shelter you and shield you from all of life's troubles. No, it's not. It's not. It's just going to make it worse. Okay? Because I've been there and I've done that. And you might say, well, you're different. Yeah, I am different. But, you know, as a human, I'm not sure I know anybody that has had consistent negative thoughts and lived their best life. You know, and if they are living their best life, you have to ask themselves, are they living their best life Instagram style, IG style, or are they living their best lives when the camera's not on them? And that's where it is. Are they happy when they're not posting? Are they happy when the world is quiet around them? You know, my brain is always going. I have keywords that I tell myself, especially when I'm going to sleep, to quiet my brain. Or I'll listen to, you know, little beat things on YouTube because that helps, you know. And, but it's all about finding what works for you. So when you check in with yourself emotionally, you are going to figure out what works for you. Because I'm telling you now, negativity doesn't work for anybody. It can make you mean. It can make you angry. It can make you lash out at people. It can make you a bully. You know, I'm not saying any of you are any of those things. I'm just saying that these are the things that it can lead to, because there are emotions that have gone unchecked and there are pain that have gone unchecked. And in order to free ourselves and allow ourselves to, you know, really, really embrace that self-love, we have to untether ourselves from the negative stuff. And that includes all the negative thoughts. Are you never going to have a negative thought again? Of course not. Of course you're going to have them. Because it says right here, negative thoughts will always try to impede self-love. And that's a phrase I hate to say, but it's true. Negative thoughts will always try to impede self-love. Even now, even with having healed my trauma, I mean, I think that's probably a great example right there. I struggle with letting that go because it's been a part of my identity for so many years, because it went unhealed for so many years. But that's a negative aspect, you know, and it's like, I don't want to hang on to that. I don't want to hang on to that trauma. No, no. So we need to find ways to let it go, all right? And by doing that, you check in with yourself emotionally. You know, like I said, set an alarm. You know, morning, noon, and night. Maybe when you wake up, before you go to bed, and sometime in the middle where it says, you know, to get that cup of coffee and share your day's events or whatever it is you want to drink, you know? So, and be responsible when you're checking in with yourself, okay? But yeah, be honest. Be honest with yourself. And that's why that's why I love journals, because, you know, journals, if you want, they have, you know, you can put a lock on them. You know, there are journals that have locks on them, and if, you know, even if it's just a kid's journal that has those cute little locks on them, do it. If that makes you happy, do it, because your journal is meant to be your safe space. it is your safe space to get all that gunk out of your head, you know, to get all that junk out. And that's what happens when we check in with ourselves emotionally. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm not sure if I'll be back on tomorrow at 8:30 again, or earlier or later or on time. I told my cousin I would be her carpool dummy tomorrow, so I'm just waiting for her to see if she wants me to go along with her, because she has an appointment tomorrow. So you know, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for sure on Friday, I'll be back here at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. But on most occasions, I am here at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public. Anybody can watch under Shelly Marie Lucas. And I also post them to pretty much everywhere. And it's either going to be under Shelly Marie Lucas or under the Aloha Perspective. So I hope everybody has, again, a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so, so much for watching. And I will see you at some point tomorrow. Have a great day.